Hello and welcome, and we're here at Holistic Investments, and I'm your host, Konstantin Kogan, and I'm really delighted to have another guest today, Sagar Barvalia, who's general partner at Blockchain Founders Capital. Hi, Sagar.
Hi Constantine, how are you?
As you know, I'm recovering, right? So the flu got me recently, but thank you so much, really getting better. How about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, same. Almost 11:30 in Munich. So after the podcast, I will go to sleep. But I can clearly see that you are a bit of low in energy. But yeah, let's do it for the cause.
Yes. And traditionally also, like I want to throw a disclaimer that this content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or any other material as legal, tax, investment, or financial or any other advice. So now we can talk about your story, right? Traditionally we begin with understanding who you are, like as a human being, as a person who came from, from a very different industry, who immigrated, and I can also reciprocate this this challenging path. So I know you were born in India and then eventually you ended up in Germany. You traveled around the world. So tell us, like, how did you start your journey? How did you start your career, and what made you evolve into Web3 specialist?
Sure. I mean, happy to walk you through it. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's quite interesting. I think every immigrant has a quite interesting story because they went outside of their comfort zone or they leave the country and try to achieve something in the outside of their own country. So I grew up in India. I studied my bachelor in mechanical engineering from Mumbai. That was 4 years of like a engineering path where I decided to go to Germany. So when I was in second year of engineering school, I realized that okay, Germany is the best fit for mechanical engineer. Fastest highways and the best universities. That was the like first sold out for me. Like in terms of like I got sold in terms of going to Germany. And actually, I end up doing civil engineering, structured engineering in my master. So I studied in TU Dresden. I came to Germany. The course was completely new to me because it required so much of programming, and I had like zero programming knowledge. So there is also stereotype like most of the Indians are good at IT, programming, but I'm like a worst. I never coded in my life. Then now suddenly you landed into the master course, which called like computational civil engineering structure study, like every subjects you need to write the code. So you can understand like what kind of trauma I would have been gone through like first semester, like what I'm doing. Didn't I look into the like what the course structure is like, what will the like what kind of skills I needed. So I studied structural engineering. In between, I got a chance to go to Paris. So I got a scholarship. There's an exchange program runs in Europe, So I got Erasmus exchange program. I went to Paris. I did my one semester in aeronautics, completely different field. I was just trying to fit myself into wherever I get the opportunity. So I lived in France for 6 months. I learned French, met some friends, and came back to Dresden, finished my master thesis, and I got job in Porsche Automotive in Stuttgart, and that job profile was completely different than civil aeronautics and mechanical engineering. I was working as a test engineer, so completely different, like dealing with ECUs, electronic control unit, and running with different types of CAN bus system. So this is like my education background, and this is like a first experience of the corporate world, as a job. But I sooner realized within 1 or 2 weeks working at Porsche that if you work here, you can never get your own Porsche.
So let's clarify. How old were you
Yeah.
when you moved to Germany?
I was a 20-year-old when I moved to Germany. Yes. So at 20 year, I was already a bachelor student. So basically, there was also a bit of a difference because you meet some of the kids in a master course who are like 26, 28-year old, in my master course. And I was like 20. So I'm literally looking like kid and somebody's thinking like this guy might have forgotten which class to go. You must be like somewhere like what, Azubi or like the freshman year, like a first year graduate student. But then I had to constantly tell them like, no, I am the master student. So that was the beginning. And then after working 1 or 2 weeks into Porsche, then I decided, like, okay, this city doesn't fit my ambitions because I wanted to go into startup. I wanted to stay close to the startup ecosystem. And that's how I ended up in Munich. So that was the year of 2016, I think. So I moved to Munich. I got job in another German automaker called BMW. Was like a external engineer, of course. They don't hire the fresher engineers directly. So basically, you work at BMW, but the contract is from third party. That's how it works. And again, the same problem. I'm like what 22, 22 and a half year old, like youngest colleague there, and basically my older colleagues were asking me like, "Oh, you are a new intern or what? You are doing some abitur, this is like after 12th grade, you do this 2 years of breaking semester, sorry, breaking period where you take the traineeship." And then I was telling, "No, guys, I'm a full-time employee here." So this is like my corporate career. So I worked there like almost 4.5 year. So close to 5 years I worked there in automotive sector. So this is my beginning of the journey. Now the interesting story is that how I transition my career from being an engineer to being a VC. So I would walk you through from 2017 ICO era, right? But my eyes got catch in 2016 when I started working here in Munich. That friend of mine is in diamond industry, in my hometown, and he's calling me one day and talking about like there is a Zimbabwe and Kenya having like higher inflation. I was like, dude, what's wrong with you? I mean, why we are talking with this thing suddenly? We just talk about life, and why suddenly you are bringing this Bitcoin thing in? I never heard about it before, before that call. It's like, look, this is like something store of gold, or like store of value is like a gold 2.0. And I was like, okay, interesting. I checked on Google, I look at the Wikipedia, and then I went to bitcoin.de. And bitcoin.de was like a German based online P2P crypto, like a Bitcoin buying and selling platform. And this is the moment where I got sold on crypto because as an Indian national, you cannot buy more than 1,000 euro worth of Bitcoin um, on that platform. And if you want to buy more than 1,000 euro, you need to do the KYC. And now the funny story is here that I tried to do the KYC. Of course, if somebody asks for KYC, he wants to do it, right? But they say like, no, sorry, we cannot accept the Indian passport.
Mm.
This is the funny. I was like, no, I live here. I have the proper residency. It's like, no, it's only regarding your passport. And say like, okay, we cannot approve you. I went to the bank. Bank said like, no, we cannot take your KYC here. You can only do online because the KYC part is done by third party. And I went to the other banks. I was like, look, guys, can you provide me the third? So I had an account in other German bank. So I went there and I asked them, like, guys, can you help me to get the KYC to that bank? And they're like, no, this is how it doesn't work. So this is where I got interested into like a deep dive of crypto, where like crypto, which is like doesn't look at you as in who you are, where are you from, and they don't care, if you have Indian passport, German passport, or Ukrainian passport. It's like a borderless basically. So this was like my first interaction, and we can talk about it in later part. But then fast forward, I was focusing on crypto, my job, and then I got attracted into startup ecosystem, but not into crypto. It was like a traditional uh, Ayurveda based, healthy. Like now, everyone is talking about longevity, right? But back in days in 2016, people were calling it Gesundheit Ernährung. So basically, how you stay more healthy
Mhm.
in Germany. So these all youngsters started consuming like a moringa pulver, is like a drumstick powder, like a leaf of drumstick. You do the powder, not drumstick, it's we drum it, but it's like the actual fruit, the tree. And I come from India, so I know like some guys like 30 types of Ayurveda herbs. I started importing. We had a store in Munich, and this was like my first startup where you learn it. You think like everything is so easy. Then you get to the reality, you touch the base, and then you figure out like it's super hard to execute. So that was my first startup, and I'm proudly wear that title as a failed founder. But then like you go back to where your corporate job. You think like, okay, let's settle down here for a while and figure out what is the next step. And the next step was like, okay, when I get the right time to work in crypto industry for full time, I will take that step. And then in between, the story is very interesting because I was after the failing as a startup founder, and while I was working at BMW, I went to like close to 500 meetups in Munich. So I go every day after work. I go to different meetups, do the networking, and like I shine my communication skill. And that's how I met my colleague Ben, who is also founding partner, the general partner at Blockchain Founders Capital. So we used to run the uh, early stage angel syndicate from Germany, and we were investing into early stage startups. And one or two HNIs were chipping in check with us basically. So we were basically investing their capital into the early stage startups. So we ran this angel syndicate back in days, and then we got like that was our kindergarten kind of a playground. That's where we learned like how to invest, vet the founders. Yeah.
Let's pause for a second. So even to find your partner, right, and immediately click with him, and then to find high net worth individuals who would believe in you, right? You need to have exceptional skills to pitch, right? To explain that, okay, you provide us your money, whatever that may be, whether it's like 10,000 euro or 100,000 euro, right? And then we deployed on your behalf, right? And you probably took some carry, like, meaning that you took a percentage from each deal, right? So maybe explain for someone who wants to mimic this part of your life, right? At this stage before you become a hedge fund manager, right? How did you come up with this idea to run a syndicate and to invite angels, which are high net worth individuals, to believe in you?
So I think when I met Ben already, so Ben was already in touch with this couple of HNIs, but he was in like he was also like I was looking for someone who can be the my partner in crime, in terms of business, who has like more operational side experience or like more startup side experience. And for me, it was like the other side party would be looking for somebody who has a deep knowledge in crypto. So you are looking for one degen person, and you are looking for one other person who is not degen but who is like actively into more startup ecosystem.
Mhm.
So that's how we got angle. So when I joined him, it was like so our job was like basically we vet the basically deals, of course, and so I think this is like a like a breaking moment where I would not call it like I got lucky, but sometime you happen to be at right place and right time. As a just that point, of course, then you need to deliver it. So that part was already a bit of done because Ben was like actively harvesting for the people, and we just got into click, and we got click like okay, Sagar will do the blockchain part, and he's going to look after like a deep DD, vetting the founders, and then we present this deal to the HNIs, and then basically they write the checks, and then we manage the deals, and then we are part of the carry, and then we also manage the portfolio actively. So I think this one point of click, which is like you can call it as a lucky part, but I think you need to be you need to convince the other side party that you are the right people. So I think you are right. So I think the short answer to your question is I think you need to be like a sort of I don't want to give lots of wisdom, but like sort of like 10,000 hours of wisdom. Like if you put in any topic like 10,000 hours, then you are like a master or you excellence yourself in that area. So I think that was already like 4 5 years of crypto knowledge for me,
Mhm.
and in that 4 5 years I have traveled alone with my own cost, did lots of networking. So I think that all, so basically I had planted that tree a long ago,
So
and the
you
fruit
skip
came
that
after four
part.
years Yes,
Exactly. So you
yes,
invested
yes,
before in many deals, you
yes,
lost some money, you gained some money, and then from there you kind of evolved into becoming like a manager of a syndicate, right? And then eventually, like you co-founded also ETH Munich, which I want us to get to this part as well, like
yes.
because this was actually I think I understand was a pivotal moment where you united across yourself, like around yourself, like a lot of like really interesting people from Ethereum community, right?
Yeah. So I mean, happy to walk you through that, but I think, as I said, like my investment journey started in 2017 with the ICO. So it was
Mm-hmm.
2016 Bitcoin and ETH. Then in like 2017 you start chipping in, doing little bit of degening. Then that time was like a Bitrex. Then it was MetaMask coming. The Kraken was like you click 10 times and then it refreshed the website. So these are like all days. Like Kraken, you have to
I
even
remember.
put like yeah, like you put Gmail, then it goes like away 404. Then you refresh it, then you put password, then you refresh it 10 times, then you log in. And then the same process to buy and sell stuff. So this is like early days. And ICOs, like I always say, like people about Chainlink, that was like my outlier thing where I got into very early in ICO, and then I'm still like very close to the team. Um, Coming to the ETH Munich part, so of course the dream was seeded in 2017 while sitting at the one corner in Munich with other crypto guys that everyone is going to this ETH conference. Like there was like a ETHCC was happening back in days, and that like it was like a fantasy to go there, sort of, because you are in Munich, you are completely out of this startup bubble, and you see like everyone is traveling here and there, and then back in day there was a called YouTuber called Ian Balina was there.
Oh yeah,
He
I
was
remember.
shilling this Excel sheet. I think he benefited a lots of people. So I was following that Excel sheet, like what you're buying, token metrics, so and so. So 2017, I was sitting at the like a corner near like one coffee shop near to where the place where I live, and I said like, okay, I want to do the ETH Munich one day in Munich. So from 2017 to 2024, I think 2022, yes, or 23, yes. So we did it the ETH Munich in 23. So it took me like a 6 year to realize that dream from like okay dreaming about having each Munich to actually pulling off each Munich. Of course it wasn't my only work, there is like a whole team was behind it, but like the main essence was like I was pitching to the another guy from Pretzel DAO, like his name is Serge, like hey dude we should do the each Munich, and he was like we made just for coffee, and I like told him like let's do the each Munich, and he's like yeah let's do it, you know that's how it started. And then next day he brings like another two people. He's like, okay, we're gonna team up. And you can see like four of the guys on the our ETH Munich website. These are the four people. He's like, okay, let's do it. It won't be easy, but let's do it. And we did it. And then the new problem came for ETH Munich was like we applied for the grant to the EF, and they thought we are scammers.
Wow.
There's like why this guy wants to do the H Munich, and there's like oh why this guy is like a running blockchain founders capital and wants to do the hackathon, because there's like okay we never fund VCs to do the hackathon. I was like guys this is exceptional. VC is my main job, but what if I want to do this hackathon as a non-profit and bring this solid community of Ethereum to the TU Munich University, where TU Munich is one of the best university when it comes to IT and data science in whole Europe. So why don't we bring this solidity and Ethereum knowledge of smart contract to these young kids who are studying at TU Munich, and they learn and build on top of the basically top of the blockchain of ETH, right? And so it took us like a lots of effort to get the venue, but we got the venue for free. And we had like a 300 hackers. But 300 hackers, bring them to Munich was like hell lot of job, because after ETH CC, everyone goes on holiday in summertime. And most of the people reach out to us from ETH community like, guys, don't do it in August, because August is the vacation time. Nobody will come to hack at your event. I was like, no, don't worry. We are fully sold that we can bring the hackers to Munich. We'll make sure that they have like Oktoberfest kind of experience. We give them enough food 3 times, proper food, not a box, but like a served food in plate. That was like our USP. I was telling to the hackers like everything except what to hack. Like guys, I will bring ice cream, I will bring the beers and full Bavarian experience on the last day of the closing. And we did it. All the photos
Sausages.
are on. Yeah. So yeah, so basically they had like a proper Oktoberfest experience, and it was a massive hit. So I think this was like a basically doing it, or like a cause, like giving it back to the community, because I started my crypto journey with Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I always feel like okay, let's do at least something for community.
What
And
year was the
yeah,
first event that you launched?
no, it was the first edition in 2023. Yes,
2023.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Still impressive, right? And then you're committed to continue every year now.
So we couldn't do it this year, but we will probably figure out next year in 2025. So we want to skip every year, but let's see like how much is the sentiment in the community this year, because in bear market that everyone disappear, in bull market everyone starts showing up. But what we did is like in last 6 7 years was like constantly doing the meetups. So I am also like a part of Polkadot or channeling because Munich is very small ecosystem. So you cannot have like this whole cabals, fighting with each other.
Hmm.
So we had made very clear, like if any community wants to come to Munich, let's do the event for them, bring the community, and that was also like a reason behind Pretzel DAO. Pretzel DAO is like basically a Munich-based back community, where most of them are developers, some of them are founders who raise like millions of dollars, and we just hang out together. We talk about tech part. We don't try to shield each other like shit coins. That's not the part of the community. And we always find some sponsors who give some pizzas and basic cost to the meetups, and yeah, that's how we do grow, and we pulled off the ETH Munich. And there is also other communities are also doing great job in Munich, but I think Munich is not a big ecosystem. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, first of all, thank you. Kudos for all these efforts. I know that it's it's a lot of efforts organizing any event. It's 99% work behind the scenes, and not everyone understands that. Not everyone appreciates it until it's a success. Everyone notices
Yes.
when something goes wrong, when there's not enough food or something is not on time, and there is some like delays. But like I truly admire like you for doing this, and I know you're doing it not for profit, so which is even more impressive. Of course, we have to mention that you're organizing amazing events on Davos, which is during the World Economic Forum, where we're going to meet actually pretty soon, right? Which
Yes.
I'm excited about. And thank you for organizing this event. But more so, like, what probably like as a transition, like, how did you started to pivot to the World Economic Forum scene?
So actually, it's another interesting story where so me and my colleague Ben, we went with a couple of other our friends to Davos in 2022, peak of COVID time, of course. It was in summertime that year, so it was in May. We just went there, bunch of kids, like roaming around that street. So basically, Davos is a very small ski resort town, like 10,000 people is the inhabitant there. And there's like 3,000 or 4,000 people. I think this time we are expecting 10,000 people to flooded the Davos with World Economic Forum. So I'm roaming around there, and I see like okay, USDT was giving pizza. There was a Circle founder was roaming around, and that year was rush hour was very low. Polkadot had their own booth. A couple of other guys were running their shops on this main street. So I thought like, why don't we do like something very special? Special means it's not like a booth event where anyone can sneak in and sneak out, right? It's like a shop. So I got the idea after the hours of 4 days that okay, we know so many people in industry. We just need to pitch them right way because they look, there's so many people also doesn't like World Economic Forum. So let's be agree to disagree, but you have to get agree on this point, which I got the idea to hosting this investor gathering is that everyone is literally is in Davos. So we're talking about Web 2 people, Web 1 and Web 0 and Web minus 2 people, okay? It's like old money. They come to Davos every year for whatever reasons, but they are there. So if you want to host this kind of a gathering in Munich or some other city, you need to fly down all these relevant people into that town, and they might not come at the same time, but this is the only event happening around the globe in that time, like in January every year, where everyone is literally there. So now your work is done half. You don't need to make fly them. Don't need to give them accommodation. They will figure out. And all the Fortune 500, most of this like delegates, head of states, they all are coming to Davos for this annual forum. And now you need to do is like do the lobby. You reach out to every person you think who is the right person for you. It could be asset manager, it could be the fund manager, it could be the family office, or it could be the banker, or like sovereign funds, NGOs, or press media, just name it. You just need to find the right people who can introduce you to them, and then you try to invite them. Maybe in the first edition, second edition, or third edition, the people will joining, every year, and then it will become compound effect. So back to your question to answer is that now everyone is in Davos. So let's do this closed door investor gathering to have the strong dialogue for the Web3 industry, and how you can make the noise goes out is the only place is the World Economic Forum because these all people are there. So you talk about constantly about Web3. You try to mix these people between Web 2 and Web 3 into one room, have a nice dialogue, talk about research or talk about innovation, funding, and what's regulatory perspective, for example. That will start creating having dialogue, and that will bring the some fruits over the time. And I tell everyone who are coming to Davos every year that if you have a short-term KPIs to measure in World Economic Forum for, like, let's say, like I will go to there this year, what is my ROI? If I go to there next year, what is my ROI? Then I would say, like, please don't come. At least you should have like 3 to 4 years of time horizon when you're coming to Davos. So you need to go there every year for 3 to 4 years. Then you will realize that, okay, now there is some fruits coming out. And main reason to go to World Economic Forum is not to be their presence in Davos, but it's like when you go there, the rest of the world is watching you, like what you are doing in Davos. Because for most of the world, like those who couldn't come to the World Economic Forum, they think like what's happening actually there because everyone is there. BlackRock CEOs, all the bigger Fortune 500 CEOs, all the bigger founders, Bill Gates, Satya, Sundar was there. Even like many US presidents has came to Davos. And actually, the funny part is that, or coincidentally, ex Biden, the last three previous presidents has spoken into the venue which we are hosting the event. So our venue is like a panorama hall. This is where like three previous president of United States has spoken in that same room. So it's a quite of a historical venue. And then you bringing these all people together. I mean, I will share with you later on the guest list. It's like we are every year like growing. So we every year like outperforming in terms of like what kind of people are joining us. So this time we are like very heavyweight people coming to our
Give
event.
us maybe top five.
Yeah, so top five would be like a founder of Paytm. So Paytm is one of the largest fintech company in India. I think he is like he's a multi-billionaire. On top of that, he is like hundreds of millions of user, and Paytm is the household name. Even like beggars are using Paytm QR code to make the payment transaction in India. And second one is like Vivek Oberoi. He's a well-known Bollywood celebrity, but he turned a businessman for last couple of years. He's running the his own family office, and he did like multiple IPOs in Indian stock market. Then we have like Yatsu. I mean, the guy doesn't need any introduction. Then we have Scaramucci. We have like sovereign fund managers coming. We have some politicians coming. I cannot take the name on open forum. And then on top of that, we have like a bunch of asset managers from dark regions coming. Some of them are successful founders coming. So I think this year is going to be much more interactive session in terms of like quality people coming under the one umbrella. Yeah.
First of all, impressive, and I'm really excited to be part of it, right, and meet all these people. And it will be my first Davos. So for me, as you mentioned, exactly, my perspective and my horizon changed when I was explained this 3 to 4 years approach. Before I was exactly the person who was skeptical and thinking, okay, well, why do I need to hang out with those, people who are talking about like some of the like especially politicians. I get the skepticism why people might take it as something not serious because a lot of the problems and issues are discussed there like they become like rhetorical, right? They're not actually there's no actual call to action sometimes. And that is why like people say, okay, well, this is only for hyper rich to just hang out together. But what you're explaining that even for people who are not like extremely wealthy, but they want to invest in their future of networking, of being able to find a great backers, right, a great LPs for their fund, or great investors, or maybe future partners for co-founders. I think yes, that's there's a filter, there's a natural filter that comes into play, and if you get there, like
Yeah.
that's only then you understand, which I'm very excited to experience myself. Now, I think it's now is the time to slowly finally talk about like, blockchain founders capital, right? Your fund, right? I know that you've been running it for some time. It's still, I would say, relatively young venture, right? But you're already deployed to a lot of great companies. So let's start from the beginning. So it's a VC fund, right? So GPLP structure. So you have, you can talk about the what's the lockup period, what, like what's your investment thesis, so whatever you want to start with, and then I'm happy to ask you about many other like questions about the fund.
So basically, Blockchain Founders Capital was founded in 2022 post FTX era. And
Mm.
this is where we also started this Davos gathering, So I remember, like, I would like to touch base on this one as well because
Hmm.
when I started doing Davos first edition of this investor gathering, FTX crashed, and most of the people call me and say like, Sagar, don't do this event because it's a super expensive event. It takes lots of capital and lots of energy, and they say like you might not reach a break-even point where you need to pay to the venue providers and everything, for those because FTX crash, everything is super down, and you should maybe push back, and do it next year. I was like, no, we're gonna do it. We'll figure out. We still have like 2, 3 months of time. We'll figure out. And this was our beginning of blockchain founders capital as well. So basically, from the angel syndicate, we transitioned into blockchain founders capital, and the goal was from the day one to invest into the intersection of Web 2.5. So I don't want to make it anything controversial, but let's say like so many people started talking about Web 2.5 last year. We are talking about Web 2.5 since 2020. And the reason is like I'm not saying like I'm proud of it, but the reason is that we have seen very early that there's lots of buzz, there's lots of crap in crypto industry. There's the constant flooding of funding, the founder's life cycle span is like 6 months. They come up with new startup, they get funded again. Then after 6 months, they disappear, and then next year they come back again with new white paper and they get funding. So, and there are so many venture funds as well in the crypto industry. Like every region who made up many, who made up basically in last DeFi summer, they came up like a I
Yeah,
am wanna be VC. Everyone wants to become VC basically.
obviously. $100,000, automatically you're a
Yeah.
VC.
Yes, exactly. So what do you do? By the way, what do you do? Oh, I run a fund. What do you do? I invest in crypto. Basically, like this and that shit. Like so many people you meet that in our industry. So now the thing is that if you start the fund, which is also doing lots of token speculation and looking after horse chasing rides of next 100x ride, then how you can sell it to your LPs, right? And if you strongly believe in crypto industry, then I think you need to look at long term. You should be in it for long term. So when I say like, okay, oh, I did ICO of Chainlink, then you also need to understand that people who made money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even Chainlink or any good projects which is still around, it wasn't for overnight. It was like 4, 5, 7 years of heavy, hard time. So as in VC, I think the perspective should be always the long term. So our goal is very, very focused that we want to invest into the people. We're not investing into the ideas. You basically bet on the people. So that means like that's why you can see like it's a blockchain founders capital. I mean, it's founders capital means like you are basically betting on the people. So I always give this example that you give the mediocre driver a best car, he might not win the race, but you give the mediocre car to the best driver, the probability of the winning chance is higher than the previous one. So it's always about the pilot or it's always about the driver, right? So in early stage, pre-seed and seed is all about people. They might not be working in the same idea what they pitched you 6 months ago, they might pivot it. And the historical data says that most of the founders who had a harder time to raise pre-seed and seed round, they become more successful.
100%.
While in crypto, you see that most of the deals are oversubscribed, right? Most of the deals are always oversubscribed. Like, okay, there's some good part, some bad part. Of course, you cannot generalize, right? But the thing is that you need to find the founders who are just not here for ride the waves. They should be mission driven, not mercenary.
But
They should be mission
don't you
driven.
think
Yeah.
it's changing slowly right now? Like, as we evolve, like I think this cycle is actually showing us that it's no longer that easy to raise money. Like, you should have already like much more than just like a white paper. Like, people become like more sophisticated. People actually ask proper questions about MVP, about they try to do due diligence on the team, etc. And I hear you. Like I totally understand that there are tier three, tier four syndicate investors who will deploy to anything, right? Especially by the way, my criticism towards their strategy is not that they will invest in founders that might not be the best. My criticism is that now we're entering the cycle where the pump and dumps are becoming crazier. especially with the meme coin trend, right?
Yeah.
We're like instead of building a project, I was talking to a friend who is a, very smart investor, DGen for many years. We know each other. And he compared an investment in a project that like, we in co-invested. Basically, people were building for 3 to 4 years infrastructure project, raised $10 million, incredible, like hundreds of partnerships, like old school like approach, venture to meme coin that was launched and he made like 40x. And then like like you're comparing apples to oranges. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm making more money there. Like, why would I invest? Like, I'm like, well, then you have to understand this is not investing. This is gambling. It just
Yes.
let's use different names. So don't you think that
I
like overall it's a little bit changing for better place, or you still think it's we're far?
I think the white paper thingy converted into the meme coin thingy.
Yes.
The money was like back in days you were harvesting by giving someone white paper. Now white paper become like an send me the contract address, sir. So any Twitter handle or you can see this also on a meme coin. And most of the blue chip projects who are actually solving the problem are still stuck at that price of last year, while every day like your 10 different meme coins and retails are chipping in into this whole meme coin ride to hoping for next 40x or 100x. So the problem is here the social media narratives, right? There is a cabal who is constantly framing this meme coin narrative like, oh, I made 100x on this shit and that shit. But like, dude, this gambling is the zero sum game, right? For that people, I think they have to understand that it's like a your profit is somebody else's loss. So somebody else on the other side must be losing. I mean, it's also in the blue chip projects. But the thing is that this meme coin you see today is like worth a lot, and tomorrow you will see like it's completely gone, right? So it's like a faster gambling. So I think what was the in a white paper ride, it was good at least that they were launching tokens and they were trying to show it that they are doing something. And here, the catalyst has become like, okay, guys, there is no white paper, there's only smart contracts, there's only Twitter, and some people are talking about meme coins, and it's pretty clear. It's by default you are gonna lose the money, but still people wants to put the money because hoping that this my $100 will become 100,000 or $1 million. So the greed is greater. And we human being always look for the easiest thing. And I think you mentioned it very easily. I think that was very right. The guy who made 40x from meme coin, the probability is maybe 1 in 100, but like the time frame is a lot faster than you
Yes.
invest in actual in fund. But you have to understand like the people who invested in Uber or those people who invested in early Google or like Facebook, like Peter Thiel. The Peter Thiel, do you think would have been Peter Thiel today without investing into Facebook as a first checker? Or, I mean, that time there was no meme coin, but do you think the Peter Thiel would be the Peter Thiel if he would have traded the meme coin? It's
But
like
and here
what kind of investor you want to become, right? What kind of image you want to create? Is it reproducible? So let's say like you might make money in meme coin this cycle, you might not be able to make it again. But like if you ask the Peter Thiel or like a visionary investors, it is reproducible. You invest in Facebook, but then you also invest in other companies, and then he started this Palantir. He's invested in SpaceX. So this is like a so actually the venture capital is all about adventure. But the thing is that you want to invest in something which can become a household name. And the whole essence is like, okay, let's go back to the 0 to 1. What is the basic principle, right? We are in it for tech, everyone says, right? But what's the main purpose? The purpose is to solve the people's life
yeah.
for the good, doing good, right? Not only talking about it, but solve it. Like blockchain can solve so many problems. And the one reason I told you in the beginning of the podcast is that blockchain doesn't know who you are, which race you are, and which country you are. So imagine like blockchain has opened this whole financial narrative. And I think you were there also in Singapore, right? We were watching the Feds meeting at 2 a.m. while eating at Indian restaurant. That kind of education blockchain industry has bring it to the retail level. Who knows about SEC when the GDP data is coming, when job data is coming, right? So this is like a huge technology, but I think when there is something good is happening, there's also people try to take the shortcuts, which is like in this all pump and dump things. So if you look at the brighter side, I think there's a lot in it to achieve, and I think we are still early.
100%. And there's an interesting argument that I also have heard back when I was proposing a very similar narrative. By the way, fully agree with what you're saying. But what was interesting, what I've heard that rebuttaling this, like saying like, well, like let's be honest, like 100% circulated supply is out, so it's actually more fair than some of the projects that are have longer vesting, and they will be like, eventually might lose all the value. So like, your money are locked for a long period of time, and you might lose money over time, and the chances are still very high. Here, at least you have like fast results, like either fast gains or fa fast losses, right? So how would you rebuttal this argument?
I think if you look at any VCs, I mean, look, I mean, it's also very generalized. Like everyone is VC in crypto. That's a second thing. But I think so. You need to be very clear to yourself. It should be very intellectual, honest. To yourself at least that what you want and why you are here. There's two different things. That are you in this space to make money, or are you in this space to make money by doing the things which matters to the world? So one type of mindset is that basically I don't care. I just want to chip into any random rug pulls or meme coins and ride the waves and make the money. No problem. That's also fine. I think lots of people are doing it nowadays. I mean, otherwise, how much all this retail money end up going into Solana meme coins, right? That money should have been flown to the blue chip project, but it didn't. So like we live in the free world, so people can chip in wherever they want to put their money. Now, second question is that, oh, I want to make sure that I want to put my each penny or each dollar I have earned as an investment into the right projects where there is a market risk that the founder will try enough till the end that, okay, let's try to make it work, this idea. And I want to give them my dollar. If it doesn't work, then I will be happy. I will return off that, okay, that was a market risk, it didn't work. But if that idea worked, then you would be also able to tell proudly that, okay, that idea worked and I was the first check given. So like I think so many people constantly shill about like, oh, I was a first checker in this and that company, right? Even they did only one investment in their lifetime, which went massive. Even they put like what, $100 or $1,000 or 25,000. But the essence is that you can be very emotionally attached. So I'm sure you must have emotionally attached one or two investment in crypto where you will feel like, oh, this is something very near to me. And then in our world, we call it like marrying to the bag. So basically, you're marrying to the bag because you are so much emotionally convinced with that thing that, okay, this thing can never go wrong. So in long-term horizon, I mean, if you look at these Jeff Bezos, Google brothers, or Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, they started long ago, and it was like a 1 or 2 year, 2 decades of work. Not I'm talking about like 5 years. It's a 2 decades of work. Don't you think they also have the private life, right? They also have the friends who are constantly ditching them, like, oh, you're not available enough, or you're not doing this and that thing. So I think it's a hell lot of work, and when you are doing something meaningful, or when you're following the rules, or when you're trying to solve the extremely hard problems, then your life is not going to be easy. And then as an investor, you're also not going to make that money fast, but the money will come slowly. That will also teach you lots of life lessons. I think that's a lots of wisdom from me in the middle of like in the midnight, from Munich. But I think that's the essential part. I mean, look, I'm in Germany for last 12 years. Do you think if somebody would have offered me this VC seat in Mumbai, I would be that hardworking and working my ass off like to achieve some things? No, because you need to earn it, right? So this is the thing. Like when you make money 40x or 100x from shitcoin, the chances are higher that you're gonna lose that money again into some other shitcoin.
That is actually,
Yeah.
I would say, a beautiful conclusion because it is true, right? Like first of all, what people forget that even to enter the position and to hypothetically make money, you also need to have discipline to liquidate this position, which is also very rare for people who are not familiar with this, right? Because a lot of the folks who are entering those positions, they're hypothetical millionaires, but then it can go down to zero, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah, paper money basically.
Exactly. It is a great conclusion. So let's do a quick blitz just to remind. So remind me please, like what is a lockup? So let's say someone is interested to support, BFC as and they want to be your limited partner. They want to invest with you. What would be their lockup?
So we are like a 10 plus 2 year fund. So basically 10 plus 2 means 12 years fund, where of course you don't get your money back in 10 years, but like venture capital is all about adventures, you know. So if anyone invests in blockchain founders capital, so that means basically they get into equal shares of that committed capital into all the investment we did under the umbrella. That's a normal GPLP fund structure.
Mhm.
And when we get the first exit, they get their portion of like a profit sharing out. But this is the long ride. I mean, we are only 2.5 year old fund.
What do
So
you think?
normally they, yeah,
What are the shortest period when do you think they will have some liquidity event, like at least like a small one?
I think it should be in the next 2 years. Yeah, so it's hard to say. I mean, you never promise your LPs, and this is the fun part, Constantine. The people who invest in venture capital fund, they know the risk and they know the time cycle, you know. But most of the LPs are mostly the techies, you know, or who understand this space. And this is the main essence of this industry is that if you need to teach somebody else about venture capital, I mean, probably they might also end up doing investment into venture capital space, but there's like a very selected group of people around the globe who are seasoned investor in venture capital or private equity funds. So they know like how things works. So in venture capital is like mostly that's why you target HNIs, high net worth individuals who can chip in from $200,000 or euro minimum ticket size, and they have lots of patience, you know, to wait till
Mhm.
it brings the fruits to the tree. So if you look at the Uber, right? So benchmark put I think $15 million into Uber, and that become like a couple of $1 billion. But it wasn't overnight. It was like 5, 10 years of work. I think a lot. I think so. Now imagine if you're LP in that kind of funds, it takes longer time, but you get always a big portion. But there is no lockup. It's a lockup basically means like you are invested, and then once you get the exit, you get your money back. So there is like no lockup on profits. So basically, let's say like even in the normal investment, like in crypto space, you invest in any projects. Like there was like recently mega ETH round, right? So you invest into that project, and then they have like particular lockup period, and then if it brings the fruitful results after 5 years, but if you hold it in between that time, you know, then you will realize that capital gain. But I think that's a tokenization part where I think the most of the venture capital fund will also tokenize that their LP position.
Mhm.
So with the blockchain, this could be possible there. Let's say like you are investor in my fund, and if I tokenize my LP position, then let's say like after 3, 4 years, you have not realized capital gain, but like basically in paper money, it's going up. Then you
Yeah.
find somebody else who wants to buy your LP position, then this would be possible.
Similar to
Yes.
BCAP as they did at
Yeah.
Blockchain Capital, right? So
Yes,
you're
yes, yes.
saying you're looking to eventually tokenize your fund.
So we will do it in our next one.
Wow,
This fund is
that's
already running, so we cannot do that. And but next one, I mean, of course, if you're investing in blockchain, then you should be the first user of blockchain, right?
well, yes and no, because at the end of the day, there are some challenges with this too. Again, I'm happy to share. I had interview with Blockchain Capital about this, and
Okay, okay.
I can tell you that they're probably the oldest fund that actually
Yes.
experimented because they were the first,
Yeah.
and there is pros and cons to this strategy. So I'm happy to share it with you separately, right? Because yeah, I think for an LP perspective, it's 100% makes sense. And what you're saying is like it's a faster liquidity. If you have a secondary market, somebody wants to buy their position and somebody wants to sell, so it's great. So
Yeah,
like
exactly.
faster
Yeah.
exits. Now, for you, it might be more challenging actually,
I
but
mean, we are in Germany, man. I mean, we have this fund is BaFin registered, and we are in Germany. So, of course, I think over the regulatory boundaries, it will happen possible in
yeah,
near future. You know, I'm not talking about 10 years, but it could be, you know, like now Mika is started like rolling out. So tokenization would be good part. It's basically like going to the house notary, you know, but it will become faster. So I think
yeah.
there need to be regulatory framework. But you're right, there is lots of boundaries, restriction, and depends on how much capital you want to spend on that legal side fees and how big is your
Exactly.
fund. So I think I can understand the blockchain cap can do it because they are very well known and one of the oldest fund, and they have the enough, like they have the deep pocket, right? So if somebody new fund wants to run it in the regulated jurisdiction, it would be harder, yes. But happy to explore offline with you.
Yeah, yeah, offline I even can connect you probably with their team if you want. Now, like coming back to the narrative, right? So you invest in both equity and tokens.
Yes.
And if I may, if we can state it publicly, what is your typical ticket sizes?
So we have a standard ticket size 300,000 euro slash dollar. So with this current fund, we just try to keep like a standard ticket size with 300,000. So that's we chip in into early stage, and we so far we never invested in token directly. This is like same like US VCs. They always end up investing in equity, and then they have the token warrant. This is also similar approach for us. But we
Got it.
never look for deals who like are pretty hot or has the token narrative. We don't care. We just want to bet on the right people. We also bet on heavily on migrants. It could be any migrants. It could be German in US, US guy in Germany, but we are very bullish on migrants because migrants are very proven successful founders. I mean, look at the US market. Elon, David Sachs,
Of
Peter
course.
Thiel. Peter Thiel is from Germany. I mean, basically, he born in Germany. He moved to US. So you can see that this whole generation of successful founders are most of them are migrants, and they have like this burning firepower in their stomach, to make things work.
Yes, to prove themselves in a new country,
Yeah.
100%. The success rating, like overall, there was a statistic that most of the I think was like almost like 57% of the most successful entrepreneurs in the United States are migrants, which
Yes,
is which,
absolutely.
which is like exceptional if you think about it. So I clearly understand where it's coming from, right?
Yep. And I mean, I think it's going to be much more higher now with America is looks like going to take the front like a front position in terms of like crypto regulation. So let's see. I'm super excited.
Well, we'll see very
Yeah.
soon, literally in five
Yeah.
days, right? And
Yes.
when the
Yes.
inauguration and 20th is coming, and yeah, there's a lot of excitement surrounded about it. Like I had a pleasure to talk with. I was on the AMA Twitter Spaces with one of the senators in New Hampshire, and they're now like a lot of the states, as you know, they're rolling out this Treasury Reserve and Bitcoin as well, like to support the cause like that. That I think we don't even understand this year, like very soon is gonna unload, like to the crypto
I think
industry.
we are, as you mentioned earlier, we are going to land into the next cycle of crazy pump mania.
Yes. And then you have to be prepared, right? So in your case, you obviously have a very long-term vision, which I applaud, and I think a lot, all the listeners who are watching this, like I think that this is like I don't know how to even emphasize is how hard it is to convince someone to when I asked the lockup period, I specifically use this word because you're locking your capital for you're trusting someone with your capital for 10 to 12 years, right? That means you better be confident that this person will be around in 10 years. The reason why people have trust issues towards like some of the founders in crypto, as you mentioned, because one cycle they do this project, then they jump into another project, like like because it's a conveyor, right? In your case, you're committed and you're committed to your LPs to deliver no matter what, right? And you'll be there in 10 years. And I'm sure it's one of the most challenging parts, but I know you have also some of the celebrity LPs, and if we can talk about it, right, about Yatsu who supported you. Again, you mentioned everybody knows him, but just in case if no, people don't know them, there's a
Sure.
fund
I mean,
Animoca Brands, which is one of the most like prominent like company in crypto space, and I think it would be fair to say in gaming right now, right?
yes.
They're huge metaverse, like Mockaverse right now is huge. I'm a big fan of their project with chess with Magnus Carlsen, right? That they launched a new one. So
Yep.
please, maybe you can share some of this news as well.
Sure. I mean, happy to, yeah. As you already know it, so Yat has personally invested in our fund, and he become LP to our fund. I mean, we are very close to Yat from day one of our investor gathering in Davos. So he's been with us from day one in Davos, and he thinks very fast, man. I mean, if you look at his interviews, and he's very well respected person. And I met him a couple of times, met him in Middle East, met him in Europe, and also hosted him in Munich last year over dinner. Um, and you constantly interacting with each other, sharing the ideas, having dialogues, and at the end it's about betting on people. So I think when you go out of your home and doing the business, I think people are watching you. And if you are working hard enough, and especially I think in crypto space, the bear market is the best time to shine.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone has their own group, right? And they all travel around different conferences. So I think the bear market is the best for relationship building, because I call it every time, in German it's called Besucher. It's like visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it like, in bear market, all the visitors will be gone. They will be busy playing game, or they will be
Yeah.
doing something else. The time the Bitcoin start flying or the crypto market start flying, these all visitors come back. So during the bull market, you go to the different conferences, the chances are higher that you will not meet the right people because they all are busy. And the people who are doing deep level work or doing lots of investment in crypto space, you might not find them at conference. They might be doing some private meetings, or hanging out in their own private side events. So bear market, everyone is there who are strongly convinced about this space, and that's how we get bonded. Our bond with Yat become very strong, and I think he's very vocal about IP, digital rights. Your own, basically, like Schufa is like a private credit score in Germany. So basically, I think everyone will have the blockchain footprint as a own reputation on blockchain, and I think you can see it already. Like last couple of months, whatever the airdrop happened was based on your on-chain history, like how many airdrop you dump it right away or how many you hold it, right? So this is basically, Yath is super convinced about that part, like, okay, it will be a lot bigger market. And on top of that, he talks about ownership, digital identity, and gaming. They're very bullish on it. And yeah, we are really happy to have him on board. I mean, and this will also open a door to the closely working with Animoca brands. And as a third edition of Web3 Investor Gathering in Davos, Animoca is also co-hosting with us. So that means they are participating actively with us, and they sponsor our event. So yeah, I'm really happy and I'm really excited to have him on board. And we have also like a quite other celebrities like from German ecosystem as a LP. They all have achieved success in their all respective domains, like investment banking, private equities, couple of CTOs of the some of the best known crypto space, like crypto projects, right? And couple of HNIs and family offices. Yeah, but yeah, having Yacht is an absolutely, it's an outlier, kind of like an, yeah, the person is known to the space. So if you convince him, then it, of course, it will give you the edge to convince to the other people to invest in your fund.
Yeah, I'm sure it opens a lot of doors.
Yes.
So also pivoting a little bit to the portfolio, right? So maybe you can share top three projects that you've invested in and you're personally very excited that you mentioned that are founders who are mission driven and they're changing the world.
Yeah, sure. I mean, happy to walk you through it. So we we are always looking for like a business idea which is like a creating new market. So we are heavily bullish on content creator economy, any businesses which will link to the existing business to the new crowd of the digital assets space, right? So I mean, we have 17 investment. If I give you top three, then it would be unfair to the rest of them. But I can name it few which are like going to be like, they are like crazy founders, of course, no doubt, but also the what they're building is very important. So for example, let's start with the recent investment, like a stablecoin platform, Level Money. The guys are based in New York, and what they are building is restaking yield stablecoin. I mean, you can see that since A116Z published around like our report about stablecoin, found the product market fit in crypto. It could be the mode of world remittance or global payment transfer, right? Then it also opens the lots of business opportunity into stablecoin space. So what level does is basically you can mint one to one USDC or USDT to level USD, and then put it into different lending borrowing platforms to create the harvest, or like to harvest the yield. Of course, like 50, 100% yield is not a normal for the traditional finance shops, right? But now imagine the business case here. So I always tell the people that if you're comparing the like existing market space for this crypto companies, so let's say like for example, if you are considering only Aves market cap is $5 billion, $10 billion, that would be then complete stupidity. This is for now. Imagine how big is the world market. World stock market is $100 trillion, and Aave is standing still like they're like firm without having any kind of trouble. So going back to the stablecoin investment is like basically if you are a risk averse family office or financial shop, you want to make 10 to 15% yield a year, then you're not gonna buy Ethereum or Bitcoin. You want to buy stablecoin and let the smart people, young kid, manage your your stable coin, and let them produce the yield for you. How you can work into regulatory framework and how you can make it more secure, that's a secondary part that they will figure out. But the main essence is that like, okay, if I have like a stake of stable coin, or like there is this shops who wants to make like 10 to 15% yield for their own clients, then they can go to the level, and then they just put their money there and then wait for like a 10 to 15% yield. Because if you buy some Ethereum or Bitcoin, then it is heavily fluctuated market, right? So that's the one thing, the content creator economy I would like to touch base is, um, I mean, you can see the like whole world is running on content. What we are doing now is also creating content. And if you're looking to like YouTube and all the different platforms, like they are not they charge lots of money for ads, but they're not giving back 100% to the content creator, right? It could be music artists or YouTubers, and so and so. So we were invested in a couple of startups who are like building the bridge between fans and artists. That means like I can sell my stuff to directly to the fans without having any intermediary. And blockchain is all about reducing the intermediary. So if Konstantin and Sagar wants to do the business, we can do it on blockchain. We don't need any middle guy, right? If you want to sign something, we can launch it on smart contract and it will execute it based on the condition, right? So we don't need to find the intermediary who will take care of communication between us. So that's the same part for the content creator economy, where you reduce this whole gap between creators and the fans. You bring them together, and how you can make the economy more vibrant by bringing them on board on chain. So how it works? Sorry, if you are a music artist, then most of the music artists, they don't host their own concert, and probably most of them doesn't know who their fans are, because it's run by the managers or some third party. So if you are an emerging artist, if you know who your fans are, and that fan can invest in your music or in you as an investment in early days, then fan can become like a wealthy as well when you become successful. On top of that, you will be remembering that fans, particular people who invested in you in early days, that oh, these are the people who invested in me when I was no one. So it's a win-win situation for me, basically for artists and for fans as well, right? So we're like super bullish on content creator economy. And third one is like building the bridges from traditional businesses to the digital assets. So one example is basically like you have this like traditional banks that doesn't give you the option to buy crypto or Bitcoin, right? So we have invested in a couple of platforms which provides the API that can plug into your existing bank. Of course, they work B2B. That means the bank need to opt for their solution. But basically, with one bank account, you can even buy and trade on 7 or 8 different exchanges. The custody will be taken care by the regulated custodians. So it's basically like a bank, buying stock market stocks. That this will open the flood of the users for crypto industry, because nowadays if you see like, oh, you need private wallets, you need this and that, and people might not trust Coinbase or Kraken. Of course, they are one of the largest exchanges, but still, there's lots of I mean, the money is with boomer generation. To convince them, it's super hard work. But if their banks start offering them this solution, and I think this ETF thing is the catalyzed or cherry on top, that this will speed up the process where like most of the mainstream capital will start flowing into crypto, where we have invested in this API projects, which we are like they're solving this problem of building the bridges between Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, but also I think right now there's a huge transition of capital from boomers to millennials, and we're expecting. I don't know if you can trust all these research papers, right? Lately, but a lot of the research papers I've read, we're expecting in the coming year or two, 400 million new users, right? Because of what's going to happen with the new advance of the Bitcoin as a treasury reserve, more ETFs are coming, so more marketing budget is going to invest it. So right now, it's about what, 560 million people, right? Which is less than 8% of the population. It's not a lot. So we're very early, right? So I totally agree with you. And like what would you advise, like what is the best way to pitch you, right? Let's imagine people are very inspired and they're founders and they want to pitch blockchain founders capital for an investment. Well, how like is the war I would assume warm introduction to you would be the best opportunity, right? Otherwise, maybe an email, Twitter, LinkedIn, well, Telegram, what would you suggest?
I mean, for us, our doors are open. So most of like there is a saying in venture capital space that most of the investment happens through the warm intro, and that's true. I fully agree with it because it's at the end of the day, it's always the warm introduction is like somebody else is investing, somebody else it's basically trust-based people, trust-based transactions where you know the people and then they will bring you the deal and then you end up investing. Like cold outreach, the chances are very high that not any of the VC end up investing. But we are having the completely different approach where we reach out to the founders before they go to the fundraising. So last couple of our deals been that we knocked the door of founders before even they started fundraising. So we have some in-house tooling where we figure out like how to find the deals where there's someone is building out there, right? And they are not even trying to fundraise now, but you can be in touch with them and try to help them out, and your chances will be probably higher to get on the cap table. That's the first thing. But second thing is like even though the cold outreach we don't end up investing, we always look into it. So founders can just ping us on LinkedIn. We all of our like we are four partners. Four of them are all general partners. We believe in equal partnership, and we are always looking into the like new businesses. The founders are building something new, so they can DM us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and email is also online there, or they can also apply it on our website. For us, important is that like, look, we are not a Sequoia or benchmark. We still have to prove ourselves. So we cannot be rigid about like, oh, if somebody knock my door, I'm gonna only invest into them. For us, we are underdogs. For us, it's very important that we just want to make sure that we look into the as many as possible deals every year. That 5 years later, it should not be the question internally or outside that, oh, we didn't had that deal or we missed out on that deal, because of we didn't look into it. That was in our DM. So I mean, the main job of VC is to respond to the founders. So we actively look into all the platforms. We, of course, like there is lots of crap, but that's a part of the job every day. You you look at into the deal, and my colleague Ben always says like you look into the deal and you figure out like how the fastest way you can say no. Like, what are the top three reasons that you don't want to invest into this company, by asking yourself three good question and three question which makes like same for if you want to invest, right? And then you do the first call if you really like the idea. So we are constantly looking into the new ideas, like how blockchain space will evolve, how it will become like a 5-10 trillion dollar economy with a good way, not including meme coin. And then you don't want to miss out on these founders. And one more thing, we have internally um, non-written rule that we are not heavily bullish on like EV Leagues founders or founders from our own alma maters. We just want to back the underdogs. If
That's
they are
actually
building
very cool.
something cool, and if they convince us, we don't need your EV League degree. We don't need your big four consultancy background. We don't care. Even if you are dropout, just convince us that you are building something amazing. We're going to chip in, and that's our motto is. And when we started, I mean, there is not a we don't chill too much about like, oh, we want to back female founders and we want to back male founders. But like if you look at this current situation, we also back like 35% of portfolio where the founders are couple or woman-led startups. But we only back them because they are amazing founders. They never play this victim game, you know. They only wants to solve the problems.
That is truly impressive. So merit over diversity. This is a big topic right now, as you know, right? So there's a lot of valuable like lessons that one can draw from your, from your interview and overall from your experience, right? What would be the best way to contact you? Like if somebody wants to chat, like, or meet, like, which platform do you prefer?
I mean, as everyone knows nowadays, like it's X or previously it's Twitter, right? So you can put the Twitter link. I mean, you have my Twitter, and I'm also active on Telegram. So, I mean, look, I'm myself as an immigrant. I have also hustled very hard or like worked really hard to get into this position, and I mean, this is just a beginning. So, the one thing I make sure that if somebody is pinging me, I am responding. This is one thing I made myself clear. So, of course, sometime it's going to take time, but at least I give them back some answer because it's very important. You know, founders should get the feedback very fast. And of course, sometime it get into spam, but like I think they can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well.
Got it.
But I think best way is Twitter DM or Telegram is the best way. Yeah.
So this is the question probably, and we're going to conclude, because we spoke a lot about things today. One question that I never notify my guests, but I think it's a very important one, probably the most important, is what is the meaning of life to you, Sagar?
Meaning of life to me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I realized very early in my life that everything is permanent. Sorry, everything is temporary.
Temporary.
Yes, everything is temporary. My bad. So I realized very early that the people around you, you might like them, you might not like them. The colleagues you work around with you or the classmates around you, everything is temporary because the journey of the life will take you if you're really working hard. And the one thing I make sure myself is that you need to stick to the ethics of business if you're in business, and you should always look at the longer term. So because in crypto space also people always short things shorter term. So for me my life's motto is like first like live a life very minimalistic. So the time you are away from materialistic life, I think that's the best life you can live. So your life should be very minimalistic. um, I mean, I still don't have car. I don't want, and I believe in sharing rides and or public transportation, and you live minimalistic life because at the end you need like a very limited amount of food to keep going every day, right? And that food will be you can afford by any mean of life, you know. By birth vegetarian. I don't drink, I don't smoke. Where I see like so many people tweeting on Twitter that, oh, 6 months of dry, sober life and never feel better than this. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I'm like by birth non-smoker, non-drinker, and eating only vegetarian meal. I'm not telling that others should be also vegetarian because that's not good for ecosystem, you know. We don't have enough farmers to produce food for everyone vegetarian, and same with the meat, right? But what I'm saying is that um, the life should be like more not harming others, and when your focus is only to excellence yourself without competing with others, and not to try to compete make competition of your life to the others people lifestyle or other people's life cycle, then I think you'll be much more happier. When you go to the materialistic lifestyle, then it makes you miserable. So
Yeah.
I think you should stay away from this materialistic lifestyle. You should be always live simple life, because that will give you much more confidence to achieve so many great things. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He doesn't even have the home, man. I mean, of course he can own so many, but like that dude is like,
He
did you ever
recently
heard he
bought a
bought the
home.
mansion?
He recently bought a home,
Okay,
actually.
my bad, but is it a mansion? Like
He
200
bought a
million
home
dollars?
for to spend time with the family, so that's very reasonable. I would say, according to his standards, it's reasonable. By the way, also to mention, like, and I truly appreciate your perspective. One remark I would say, like, what I've noticed, like, people who post the things about like that they're being sober for 6 years, etc. I think it's not always to kind of put down everyone and to push everyone to be sober all of a sudden, but I think it's also like part of the discipline and to showcasing, like,
Yes.
well, this is what I've been through. And I would never, I've seen people who recovered alcoholics, or I've seen people who recovered from drug addiction, and I would never ever criticize them because I know that people go through hell, like, personal hell, like, and sometimes the depression is so crazy that they go into dark places, and sometimes this is the only way out for them, right? Later they understand it was all fake, right? But it takes time. So I
I
truly
think
respect.
I think I agree with you. So my point is that basically that it's that's why we called it GM, right? Good morning every time in crypto. That's like a very good sentence in Indian saying that
Yeah.
from the time you wake up, it's a morning. That means like, okay, you were drug addicted or you were consuming lots of alcohol, but then you decided in your head, right? Because I think let me put it this way: if you win your mind, you can win everything. So
That's the
if you are
beautiful.
disciplined enough, right? So if you are strong enough in your mental side that, okay, I don't want to drink, I don't want to take a drugs, and then it could be 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, or 6 months. 6 years is a lot. I think even 6 months you stay sober, or you try to put yourself in discipline of anything, then I think it's a hell lot of work. Because the addiction is not easy to give up.
Yeah,
And I think we all have also addiction of trading shit coins and doing so many things. I mean, that could be also the big thing in next 5 to 10 years, because we are still early. But you're right. I mean, a huge respect for the people who try to get away of it. And I mean, I have seen that things in my life, so I cannot really vouch for it because I was never been addicted to any of this kind. But you're right, people get addicted in early days of school, like some wrong companies,
yeah,
and they get into trouble, and then later stage they realize it is good that they're realizing. Some people never
exactly.
realize
Some
lifelong.
people
Yes.
never do it, so that's the thing.
Yes.
I've actually listened to JFK, sorry, RFK story. He was addicted, like, he
Yes.
talked very openly, and he I would say repented, like, he publicly acknowledged it, and I have a huge respect because it starts with acknowledgement. It starts with the fact that, okay, I'm not okay. This is not the way I want to live my life, as you mentioned. I want to control my mind. I want to control my body, and that is also beautiful examples for others, right? So, again, Sagar, a lot of wisdom from you, a lot of, like, I would say it was a very inspiring VC wisdom session, right? I highly vouch for you as a investor. I know that you working very hard. I'm excited to see you soon in Switzerland, and I know that whatever you're gonna do with good heart, which is also very important, right? I think there should be more conscious investors who are not only focusing on money, because let's be honest, LPs are there to make money and they're pushing VCs to make money. But if you're also doing it with a conscious mind with a good heart. That's also the beautiful part that people bring their perspective. And I'm very excited that you and your three other of your partners, they share the same values, right? Which is extremely important. Thank you so much, Sagar.